Before we begin our event today about wonderful Raju, I would like to introduce our speakers for today's event. So, first up, we have uh, Nikki Sharp, the Executive Director of Wildlife SOS in the US. So, Nikki has been with Raju since the very beginning. From the time of his rescue to his arrival at our center, to his healing journey over the past years, and finally, as he begins his 10th year of freedom, Nikki has been beside us and beside Raju through it all. We also have Dr. Gochalan, Wildlife Veterinary Officer at the Elephant Conservation and Care Center. He plays a crucial role in Raju's well-being and serves as one of the primary veterinarians caring for him. So I want to hand this over to Nikki, but before that, I want to tell you a few things to keep in mind during the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A box, and we will be addressing them at the end of the session. Now, without any further ado, let's delve into the journey of our dearest Raju. Over to you now, Nikki.
Thank you, MJ. And before I get started, I just want to thank all of you guys for joining us today. I think a lot of you, if not most of you, have been part of Raju's journey since he was first rescued 9 years ago. And I wish you could see me right now because you just see the look of shock on my face as it's been 9 years. We've just started the 10th year of freedom for Raju. And of course, we are so grateful to you because a lot of what we're going to present today is only possible because of the incredible support that you have given us over the last 9, now starting 10th year. Now, I'm going to be giving you just a little bit of his history because there are some people who are new to Raju's story. I'm going to give a little bit of his history. And then I'm going to go into giving you some details about the facility he lives at, where he his home now in India. So, and then we're going to pass it on to Dr. Go, who's going to talk about all of the things that he is doing in his health. So I think that's like the big reason why you guys have come today, and that will be towards the second half of the presentation. So getting started, Raju was rescued on July 4th of 2014. But that's when most of you guys came to know of Raju. But I want to go back a little bit before that day because for me, my story with Raju started a few months before that. And you might be wondering why there is a picture of a Waffle House. And I think for a lot of us, if there's a big event in our lives, we kind of remember all the details of that event in very, very vivid detail. And for me, I remember being in the Waffle House with Kartik and Geeta when I first heard of Raju's story. So Kartik and Geeta, as you know, are the founders of Wildlife SOS. They had landed in Kansas City and I had picked them up really late at night. They've been traveling all day and they needed some coffee to start our journey to start visiting some cities on a lecture tour. And I remember exactly where I was sitting when they started telling me, when I asked them, so what's new, what's going on? And that's when I first started hearing the story of Raju. So basically what they started telling me, and this is, I think some of you guys might remember the details, but there were actually 2 elephants. And this is also a shout out to Mohan, who many of you guys know, who we love so much. There are 2 elephants that they wanted to rescue, both in really, really horrific shape. Today is about Raju. And basically what they told me was that Raju was 50 years old and they had gotten all these reports about this poor elephant who was basically a skeleton begging on the streets with heavy, heavy chains. And he was just being so mistreated that, and it was, these photos you see here were taking basically like undercover, but you didn't need undercover people to go in. He was just in public view being beaten all the time. And this is his mahout on top of Raju. So we started concocting a plan of how we might be able to help Raju. And at the time, we did not have a lot of followers and supporters. Maybe we had about 30,000 people on Facebook and a few thousand people in email. And we knew in order to get him, it was going to take a lot of resources, but we started figuring out how we might be able to pull that together. And finally, on July 3rd, we were able to send a team in. And when they arrived, with police and forest department, what they found was Raju was stretched out in the front, his legs heavy chains, and in the back. And he was very distressed. And Kartik, who was there at the time, he and the team started giving him food and treats, and they could feel him relaxing, and they were just trying to make friends with him. And at one point, I got a text message from Kartik saying, "Nikki, can't believe this, but he almost looks like he's crying." And I wish I had taken a screen save of that message I received from him, and he took a photo. At that time, although it was a stressful situation, I think Kartik realized that it was a moment that we needed to capture. And I think this is the photo that many people saw around the world that went viral after the time and Raju's struggle. So he was rescued. It was a very, very difficult rescue, and I won't go into that right now, but we were able to get him on this truck. And the reason why I wanted to show you this truck is I think a lot of people now see the rescues that we do, and they see this lovely ambulance that we're able to transport the elephants. And at the time, we weren't able to transport them in such a safe environment. And even this trip back was pretty scary, because if he wobbled side to side or he got agitated, the whole truck would flip over. So even getting him back to the facility was a bit of a stressful event for us. But he got back to our facility, and our facility was pretty primitive at the time, but when we got him back is when we started addressing the chains. We could not take them off of him when he was still at the place that we were rescuing him from, because it was so tense, and we just needed to get him safely on the truck and back. But he did arrive at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and we did not want him to be in chains any longer than he absolutely had to. So our veterinarians started taking off all these chains, and it took about 30 minutes to get them all off of Raju. But when they, because it was like 1 or 2 in the morning, and our facility was very primitive back then, we had to park all the trucks around Raju and shine the headlights on so that we had some light to work with in order to take off those chains. So that was July 4th, and that was now over 9 years ago. Now he's been on a pretty incredible healing journey since then. Those are just what came off of one leg of Raju. And we now have them in a small, like, on-site museum. If you ever come, you can see what we've had to take off, not just Raju, but some of the other elephants as well. So he's been on a really incredible journey since that day on July 4th. And we have been celebrating many, many anniversaries with him. And this was his first anniversary, and I was there for it. Wasn't going to miss that. And this picture is actually kind of special to me, because when we presented Raju with all the other elephants that were at the facility, and the photographer captured this picture, and I think he did a good job of capturing a little bit of the joy in Raju when we celebrated that first year of freedom. You can, okay, great. So since then, we've now celebrated 9 anniversaries, and this is a collage of some of the anniversaries that we have celebrated with Raju. And the upper middle one is one of my other favorite ones. That's his 4-year anniversary. And we basically had a pyramid of gifts for him. And one of the boxes was full of popcorn, and you should have just seen his whole, like, smile on his face when he just he charged through these boxes, and there was all this popcorn that was flying everywhere, and he ate every single piece of the popcorn that was in the boxes. So as you can see, we always try to make these days extra special for him. We try to make every day special for him, but on his anniversary, it's always a major celebration for all of us at Wildlife SOS. And that was Raju just 2 days ago, his 9th anniversary. All right, so we are going to now move into the part of the presentation where I want you to see where he lives, his home. And this is always evolving. I wish we had a video of what the facility was like when he first arrived, but we don't have that. We now have had drones that have come in the last couple of years, so we've been able to capture a lot more of our facility as it grows and develops. And here is a short video where you can see his current home. Just a couple of things I just wanted to point out from that video was the ambulance was featured in that, so you can see what we're now using to transport the elephants. And at the very end, it was looking over the river at the land beyond, and that's where we are expanding our facility. So this is a bird's eye view of Raju's current enclosure. And with this, it's hard to see all the details, but what you should know is with male elephants, they tend to be fairly solitary. So with all the males, we need to have a place for them to be when they go into moss. So they need to have their own little like home area. So this is Raju's, and I just want to show you some of the features of his particular area. Yes, so we do have what's called protected contact treatment areas. And this is really where we try to provide a safe place where the vets and other caregivers can give treatment to Raju, and where Raju can feel safe as well. And when we do these treatments, we always do it with positive reinforcement. And so even when they're not getting treatment, they are being trained with positive reinforcement so that future treatments can be easy. And Dr. Go will be giving you a lot more detail about how we do that with Raju. The other features that we have are enrichment. Now, enrichments are so valuable for elephants, not just elephants, but other animals. But with like Raju, take a look at this. This is it's a hanging feeder. So we want our enrichments to be able to help all of the elephants and like Raju to have their natural behaviors. Now we can't release him back into the wild, but we want to, as much as possible, to encourage natural behaviors that he'd be doing if he were in the wild. And so like for this one, he is extending his neck, he's extending his head, he's looking up, he's stretching that trunk way up to get to the food. So this is something he'd be doing in the wild all the time, and we need to try to find ways to encourage this. And some of the other kinds of enrichments we have to challenge their mind, and they challenge his like dexterity and coordination. So we really have all sorts of things for him that change every day in terms of his enrichment, but it's all to try to recreate a little bit of more of that wild behavior. And here's just another type of enrichment. So we don't want to just plop the food in front of them and have them eat it. So what we like to do is encourage them to forage. So these are like bamboo pipes where we'd stuff food inside of them and would put them all around an area, and he would go from one to the other, and it's not easy to get food out. So he's got to think about it, and he's got to work to get the food. And so it's a challenge, and it's a special enrichment for him, working his mind as well as his coordination and his strength. Like I said earlier, we really want to create as much as we can the natural wild experience for these elephants. And for Raju, a lot of like what we've been doing that brings him, I believe, a lot of happiness is we've been replanting lots and lots, thousands of trees. And what we're seeing is a lot of wildlife returning to the area. And in this photo, you can see a painted stork, and you can see an Indian spotted-billed duck. And what we're seeing is just like all of this wildlife is coming. And so he is hearing their calls, he's seeing the different animals coming in. And this is a huge enrichment for the animals, is that they're interacting with nature. And as we see a lot of the trees coming and a lot of wildlife returning to the area, we feel like it's a really nice enrichment, and of course restoring more of that natural environment for Raju. And of course his enclosure has a pool, and Dr. Go will be talking more about Raju and the pool. But if you know anything about Raju, since the day he arrived, he's been our biggest water baby at Wildlife SOS. Now, some of the things you might not think about as much, but are important to share with you about what we do for Raju is we want to make sure that Raju is secure and he's safe. So we have security guards, we have CCTV cameras, we have guard towers. We've never had an incident, but we're never going to risk anything. And so we put a lot of investment making sure that Raju is safe. And I do think that's been a concern of a lot of people who have never visited our facility is you heard of so many stories about how difficult our rescues can be and how agitated people are by what we're doing to help elephants. So you should feel pretty confident that we are doing everything in our power to keep Raju safe. And on the right, you can see solar panels on the top of our, I think that's our hospital right there. And that's another thing that I want you guys to know is we're doing everything also to make sure that we are as sustainable as possible, that we're as carbon neutral as possible. So we are putting solar on a lot of our buildings, and that runs our refrigeration unit, it runs our power in our hospital, as well as some other facilities. And we also have organic farms. So Raju, like if he gets watermelons, sometimes that will come directly from the farm within a couple hours and it'll be in his belly. So we do buy a lot of food from local farmers, but as much as we can, we've been buying up land and we've been transitioning the land to become organic farms, and we supply a lot of the food, including fruits and vegetables, and fodder to not just Raju, but the other elephants and other animals like bears at our facility. And on the right, you can see this is a group that came with our founders trip, and they were just getting ready to help us feed the elephants. I don't know if anybody is from one of our founders trip on this webinar, but if you've never been on a founders trip, make sure you put that on your list of things to do sometime in your life. Come to our facility and spend a week with us and our founders traveling through India. And finally, I like to just say that one thing that Raju really benefits from is that we have been really working to make our facility a teaching hospital. So we have not just the experts from around India coming in, but around the world, and they come and we have case studies, and Raju is often a case study. So he's benefiting from the expertise from veterinarians all over the world who come and help us to make this a better, stronger place for elephants. And on the right, you can see that we are also investing a lot of money to get the best equipment so that we can provide the best care to Raju. So that is the end of my part of the presentation. I am now turning things over to Dr. Go. Dr. Go has been a veterinarian for Raju for many years now. So he has had an incredible impact on helping Raju to overcome a lot of his injuries, illnesses, and helping him just to become a healthy, happier elephant. Dr. Go is also an excellent dancer, so it's a fun thing to know about him on the side. But without any further hesitation, Dr. Go, why don't you take it from here?
Thank you so much, Nikki. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Dr. Gochalan, Veterinary Officer, Wildlife SOS. I would be really very happy to share my journey with Raju. So just we'll see on the further slides. This is Raju the Makna. So the Makna elephant, which is an Indian word, which refers to the tuskless bull, or which are with the small tushes. That is what the term called as Makna. So Raju is our tallest Makna. Yeah, we would see him like on the further slide, how he was before. So this is how Raju was. Raju is a tall elephant who is around standing over like 9 feet 9 inches. So we have rescued him at this age of 50. So it's continuous past history of numerous torture. You would have seen those tools which are being used on him very badly. So you could see him how he's looking like. He's very weak and is from bony prominences. At the time of his rescue, he was weighing around 3 tons. So like 3432 kgs, which is not an ideal weight for him. So I would be talking about the initial challenges in the further slide of what all we have faced with him at the time of his rescue. When we first found Raju, he was tied up in the chains and extremely malnourished. As I said you before, you would have seen those tools, those spike chains and ankle hooks, and all these tools has been used on him as a sort of torture that made him psychologically, a sort of fear. So he doesn't trust humans. So the initial challenge was like fear. He was really hesitate and fearful because of the previous trauma on his life. And the major thing which we had is like his stereotypy. This stereotypy is very common in captive elephants, because the general thing what happens is, in elephant which are in captive, other than the work time, they keep them tied. So they started a behavior. They used to start a behavior like head bobbing, swaying, or these are all like the stereotypic thing which was severe on Raju. So, and because of this fear and hesitant, he was completely uncooperative during the treatments. So he was not okay with the protective contact wall. He was being much like, a sort of fear come with aggression, and he doesn't know what is happening or what is going on, or what is going to be in his current and his rest of his life. So initially we had maintained a patience, like not to jump. We have given him a time period so that he gets accustomed to the surrounding once we got him back to the SOS site. So initially what we thought was, since he is in negative energy balance, we build a trust. So in any treatments or when we approach an animal, the animal initially we need to give the patience and space for them to gain their trust. So since he was even weak, the food was the only option, so that, to forget those tortures and enormous way of the people who have been used him on the past. We offered him like fresh fruits, which we later came to know which is our favorite for him. He is fond of watermelons and bananas. Trust me, he loved bananas and watermelons, and which was even very good, in our UP, Uttar Pradesh, due to the hot summer, to keep him hydration, watermelon helped a lot. And this watermelon and bananas made us to make a bonding with him, to gain his trust slowly, that to make him understand we are here to help him, and not to do any other sort of thing. And this is Raju's caregiver, Devendra. Devendra was the one who is been working with Raju, which Raju initially felt comfortable with him. So he started trusting him by, we gained his trust by starting feeding him what he liked, and then with the fodders, so that he feels much comfortable. So on the further slides, I would be talking about his cooperation in the later stage. Once the trust has been formed, you could see that now he's been in a state of that presenting his tail in the protected contact, like, he's right now much comfortable with Devendra as well as me, holding and for treatment and cooperative. So these are the present behaviors. As I said you before, the present behaviors are like comfortable in his surroundings, that he came to know later after years goes off. Those are all like long years of his suffering with trauma and torture, both physically and as well as mentally. These all behaviors, it had took lots of years to make him accustomed with our part of setup, so that he feels that this is the place where these people are helping us. Really, they are here to help us for his betterment. So I really, my personally feel was like, during his cooperation at time of treatment before, it was quite, he was fearful, hesitant, but later he's been completely relaxed. He doesn't bother about like he's completely fine with his checkup. He happily enjoys the way of the conditioning, positive conditioning and other stuff, which I would be talking further in the further slides. And his stereotypy, which is like was very severe, that has been reduced a lot. Now you could see, like, the drastic change of this 9 years, how he was from his beginning. And this is his current picture, which is he's around 59 years old, enjoying his mud bath. And you can see that, like, how a bull should be, like, with the proper ideal weight of 4 tons. And he started, there is a physiological sign called must. You can see in the slide, even the right temporal region. The temporal region is basically, which is behind the eyes. There is a discharge. If you see on the picture, you can see that is the state called must, which is a normal physiological thing, which I will be talking about in detail in the must slide. See, he really enjoys it. This is what every year of his freedom, we really happy to celebrate his freedom, which with his favorite watermelon and bananas. So he really loves it. He gets much excited at time of his enjoyments. That is like a personal feeling. I really felt him. I could see that enjoyment on his facial expressions. So let me come again with this very good nutritious diet. We brought him to his positive energy balance. Once he became good in his health wise, as well as psychologically, condition has been improved, so that he's right now enjoying here. Then his real physiological signs started. This is like must is like, it's a normal physiological sign which happens in males. So a healthy bull comes in must. So the main thing happens is the testosterone level goes high for an elephant. So this duration depends as per how healthy the animal is. So mostly our Raju is right now is in intermittent must state, because he's right now healthy, as well as in psychologically, as well as his physically, because his numerous wounds and tortures and other stuffs have been gone. So he has not been worked he has not been put in overloading works. Now this thing is like his stages of enjoyment in a very good surroundings. So that has brought him back to the good health. So during must elephants, what the must management comes. So what happens is when the elephant comes into must, so they love to keep them cool, you know. So it's like a level of testosterone pump out. So they keep them cool by splashing water on their body. Most of the time, they usually spend in pools, and you know, so keep them cool and exhaust their energy. There will be lots of energy with them, so they play a lot on the pool. And I could just play you a small video. So in that, even you can see the temporal secretion. I'll just, you guys can see it, how he's enjoying on the pool. Yeah, please. So not only on the daytime, even at nights, they usually have a pool bath. So this is how they exhaust their energy, and they keep them cool. So this happens moreover even in daytimes and night times. That is what it has been. The pool access has been given to them at in 24/7, so that whenever they wish, he can go and spend there. So I would be happy to share the complete daily routine, which we all, myself and Raju, go along in this center. So this is what Raju's routine, which everyone is interested to. So his initial day starts with morning walk. Morning walk happens inside this enclosure. So we usually take him inside the enclosure walk with treats, especially this roasted chenas and peanuts, that depending on the season based treats. So we make him walk inside the enclosure to keep him little fit, and for it's even good for his joints even. And we do have like 2 sessions. It's like target training session, which I'll be talking in detail in further slides. Now I'll just tell you, this target training is like we are just shaping them. It's like a positive reinforcement. This target training is basically a positive reinforcement which is needed for him for his medical checkup, you know, for vet checkup, like presenting his foot, ear, for blood draw, or temperature check, all these things. So this is like a voluntarily presentation of himself as well as the vet, on safer for both the people on the protective wall. So this target shaping happens with the help of his favorite fruits as well as veggies. So this is like 2 sessions. After the target training session, we do have like bathing. The bathing is like we usually bathe him, and then we use scrub him on his feet even, so, and make sure and have a check so that there are no certain skin issues or any other allergic lesions, or his foods are fine. So this helps at happens even at time of even bathing. And then comes the treatment. Once those everything is being clean and has been checked, so then we do the treatment procedures with the positive reinforcement. After this positive reinforcement treatment happens, we just leave him enjoy his enrichments. The enrichments are nothing, those green fodders. The green fodders, we have different structures of enrichments. So the enrichments like cage feeders, hangers, hay nets, pipes. So as Nikki would have been talked about all those enrichment activities which we have been doing on site. So we usually hang those green fodders. So that would be used for him to recreate as like grazing and browsing and other stuffs. So after that, followed by that, we do have at the afternoon session like a cooked concentrate feed, which is highly nutritious. The cooked concentrate feed, it's like the feed consists of ragi, brown rice, and then horse gram, which is highly nutritious. and calcium and phosphorus rich. So along with those concentrate feed, we give supplements as well and medication, oral medication. We use this cooked concentrate as a tool for oral medications, and then followed by that, the evening walk comes. The same as similar, we use those roasted chenas. So it's like treats. He even enjoys it and have a small walk on his inside this enclosure. Then comes the target training evening session. So this session is making that this is like a common presentation, so that this gives him a confidence as well as a comfortability for him to present his foods, and we do have a routine check on his body. This helps in blood collections as well as our laser therapy. We train this target training is a place where we train the patient to present his body parts with voluntarily, so that we do our veterinary procedures. So followed by that comes then again enrichments and night fodder feeding. So let's talk about the positive conditioning. This is the protective contact wall. So basically, this is what he has been going on like 2 sessions where we do our most of our treatment stuffs, like a checkup stuffs. Like this has 2 windows, which is one is like foot window, which he had presented his foot, and there is the upper window is the ear window. This entire training has been led by Devendra with a stick. You can see a stick, a small stick with a white tip, which is very soft, that directs him, that gives him the idea which leg we want to be placed. So this is like a behavioral shaping. So this shaping is being done as such, this as a reinforcement of regularly doing it, which makes him very comfortable to place his foot as well as his ears and body parts, so that we do a random checkup on a safe manner, not to harm him or not to torture him at any cost, which is more comfortable for the elephant as well as myself. Especially in case of Raju, my personal working with him in this protective contact, he loves a lot. He voluntarily presents his foot as well as his ears. You know, such a tall fellow, he's such a gentle giant who is been much happy in this sessions. He voluntarily involved in this positive reinforcement sessions, and has been completely shaped in a very good way, which had helped a lot. So let me talk about his treatments. My personal working on him from his time of arrival. You know, he had very bad abscesses on his foot pad, and his toenails were severely overgrown, and he had a very bad chronic hip abscess. So this is what his right front leg had a very bad foot abscess, which is been marked. That mass was really very soft. The image which is being marked there before, was at the time of his arrival. You can see how badly is the toenails have been grown. Those are all misshaped, and the foot pad even is not in a proper shape. It was very soft on palpation. When he walks, he used to hurts a lot. It hurts a lot because it's a soft tissue, which is not supposed to be. So he has been later slowly trained for his foot baths. We do even do foot like warm Epsom salt foot bath. In the positive reinforcement, he started gaining trust, and he had done his foot bath regularly, and that had took me a lot of time. It's like almost 6 months to get out of this fellow to be trained on this foot baths and other stuff. So that has been completely healed now. Right now you can see his same right front leg with a proper pedicure, with which we are working out on regularly, and you can see his complete foot pad as well as the toenail. And next we'll be talking about his hip abscess, how big it was. See, that's the slide which is before, is what at the time of his arrival, the hip abscess, which was very chronic, which was very huge even, and it has 3 sub branches inside. The pus oozes out like anything. We usually squeeze it out, remove those pusses. So this was like a chronic thing which has been formed because of the trauma used by the previous owners. So this it took us a lot of time because we have done routine test for the from the pus, and we get to know this was sensitive antibiotic, and then we started dealing with it. And now currently you can see that the such a big huge mass had subsided, and he is right now free from that hip abscess. So, and again, his major tail wound, which I would be like talking about his tail. These are all like, see, all these things are which are not normal, which are not supposed to be with him, but because of his previous torturing and then the way he has been kept. So this is what the tail tip, the normal tail, then a regular elephant tail has lots of air follicles. So generally what they do is they pluck the air. In case of Raju, they have done the same thing. The previous people who have take care of him, they had plucked the hair from his root, and then they have made it in a very bad shape that the root got exposed, and then the tip got infected, and the wound was very severe. And then it was like repeatedly happening because too much this way there would be like itching and other stuffs, so that gets reinfected again. It's like continuous intermittently that gets wounded up, and it took us a lot of time for us to get it healed. Right now you can see, and now that the shape only is gone, you can't expect any further growth of hair here. Absolutely sorry that this is what we could say. This much only we would have saved him, because that the root from the follicle, the root has been detached, so now it has been almost healed. So this is how his tail has been healed. And then now the current ongoing treatments, like he had like multiple wounds and other stuff which all got healed. Now currently we are working on his right eye, which is like, his right eye is showing quite a bit of corneal opacity. That is because of his the previous same way of malnutrition as well as trauma and other stuff. The cornea got like opaque. So now we have been treating it with the eye drops, as well as like with supplements of vitamin A and other stuff. It's both the eyes we are like using supplement, and then the eye drops for his betterment, as well as considering his age. He is almost around 60 right now. So, and then talking about this other regular care is like foot grooming session. In this foot grooming, we regularly do this toenail trimming, and as well as the excess foot pad has been in cut. That has been maintained regularly as for the betterment of the foot, as well as because that is very much to be addressed in elephants, because the four legs are considered to be as pillars. So we do regular foot trimming and as well as foot check, and make sure he doesn't ends up with any sort of distress or other lesions. So he's right now enjoying his foot baths even as on a regular basis. So thank you so much. So these all things have been really made possible because of all your supports, and thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll hand it over to Nikki again. Yes, Nikki.
Thanks, Dr. Go. So it's been over 9 years now since he came to us, and we've had many, many changes, and he has been continuing to grow. He has not plateaued. And I just wanted to share with you what our future plans are for Raju. So here you have an aerial view of the build out that we are currently doing on the opposite side of the river from where he currently is. And it's 120 acres. And if you look on the left, you'll see an actual like drone photo of where we're currently building out. But on the right, you can kind of see a map of what it's going to look like at the end. So there's a lot of protected forest lands that goes right along the river. So if you look at, to get oriented to where we are now, there are 3 red dots on that map. The one in the middle, right next to the river, is basically where Raju is right now. And we plan to move him across the river to the new expansion area. That will probably be in the next to 9 months. There are several things we still want to do out there. We want to build a natural lake. And we are building like a medical facility out on that side as well. So there are some things we still need to accomplish in order to move him over there. But where he is now, we did not have that area when he first arrived. So where he is now is progress from where he was when he first came. And where he's going is going to be a nice new expansion from where he currently is too. So we're really excited to have him moving to the new land. We haven't acquired all the land yet, so we're still in process. If anybody listening to this talk is in a position to help us with getting more land, please, let us know. We are still struggling to acquire all of it so we can finish the build out. And then finally, we're just going to do another shout out for our event coming up. I hope everybody on this webinar signs up to walk or run or skateboard or something for elephants. And you can even do it in Raju's honor. The code is Raju. You can see it, it's all caps. Please register today. We're hoping to have hundreds upon hundreds of people participating in this. So I know a lot of you guys have questions, so I'm going to ask Dr. Go to put on his video, and both Dr. Go and myself are here to answer questions that you might have about Raju.
I shall read out a few questions from the chat box so that we can go through whatever people want to know. So somebody is asking, how much time does Raju spend with other elephants?
It's like the males always play a solitary role, so they have been kept nearby. So it's like mingling them. It's like it depends on their temperament and other stuffs. So they do have friends, but most of the time they love to be alone, males especially.
All right, there's another question. So how long did it take for Raju to recover or go through his healing journey?
So every foot abscess and then this hip abscess, it's all like almost years together. The chronic hip abscess that took almost 3 to 4 years, complete healing we have seen on his 4th year. And whereas this foot pad abscess that took almost 2 years, that was like recurrent. Whereas the tail wound, it's around it's like intermittently we keep on, once it gets healed up and then it's reoccur since the root has been affected. So it depends on the place of the wound, and in general elephants healing is being much delayed because of their skin thickness and their way of the habitual of throwing muds on their body. So it's been keep on reoccurring. So it's like a regular procedure which you need to work on it. And a normal wound takes, like a slight normal cut wound takes 3 months for normal healing. Depends on the wound, whether it is fresh or it's been a chronic. Those are all like chronic cases.
Another question is about how much weight he has gained since the time of his rescue. I think you already covered this in the PPT, but somebody wants to know this again.
So it's like 1,500 because he was like 3.4 tons. Now he had turned to 4 tons, which is okay for the male. The general ideal male weight would be like Asian male weight should be like 4 tons, 4 to 5 tons. That's the normal ideal weight of a male, Asian male elephant.
All right, doctor. I think a lot of other people have asked a bunch of questions that are about similar things. Somebody is asking about elephants who lose their trunks to snares. Do we have any such rescues like that?
Luckily it shouldn't, but we have not we have not in our facility we don't have such elephants, thankfully, because those are like bad wounds, so they lost their trunk. the entire blood supply goes off, and it happens in wild, and they have their survivability of fittest, and they train themselves, they modify themselves. Once it gets sloughed off, they adapt themselves to the nature as per, but not in captivity. It shouldn't be even.
Somebody else is also asking about what Raju's feelings are towards humans, how it was earlier, and what does he think of humans now?
To be honest, initial stage, he would be like really hating people, because that fear we had personally felt when we have approached him. So he was like completely with fear, and he didn't trust us even. So nowadays it's like, you can see how he's much cooperative with us. So he really came to know these people are not, these people are really to help us. So hopefully he should feel happy right now.
There's a lot of really heartfelt messages asking about, thanking you for taking care of Raju and things like that. Yeah, I think there are a few more questions in the chat. Let me take a look at that as well. But in case somebody has anything, please put them in the Q&A box. Let me see if there are any new interesting questions that come up. Somebody has asked about how to volunteer with Wildlife SOS. Nikki, would you like to take this one on?
Yes, if you'd like to come and volunteer at Wildlife SOS, we do have people who come. We do have a house set up where people can come and stay and then volunteer. Usually it's about a week stay. So we do have a place on our website, and maybe Neil, you can put the link into the chat if you have inquiries about volunteering. But we do love to have volunteers come and spend at least a week with us and get to know not just the elephants, but the bears as well.
Thank you for that answer, Nikki. There's another question about Raju's current treatments and the wonderful care that he has gotten over the last several years. So this person wants to know, what is his life expectancy now compared to if he had remained in his previous tormented situation? Like, what improvements have happened? How has his life changed?
He just want to know. Come again, sorry.
So this person has asked about what are the hopeful outcomes associated with his life expectancy now compared to if he had remained in his previous captive situation.
So the lifestyle has been completely changed, so the previous days of those past 50 years, which he has been not being fed properly, and he has been extra worked, overloaded works and other stuffs, that has caused him lots of chronic issues on him, as well as the tortures which he had underwent, and those spike chains and other stuffs, tools used on him. Those are all those like both mental and physical tortures which he had encountered for the past 50 years. Like a normal lifespan of an elephant is like, in captivity is up to 70 or maximum 80. So it's like in this rest of his life, this 9 years which he really is being free from all those things, his entire behavioral change has been noticed, his methodology of taking care, his positive energy balance, and all these things would give him both fitness on his both mental as well as physically. So
okay, we have another question about must here. So somebody has mentioned that Raju has been in must for an unusually long time. Is this unusual? Is this normal? This person also said that they have visited quite a long time ago. So thank you for visiting. But yeah, Dr. Gocharan, please go ahead.
yeah, thank you so much. It's like the must is like he is having like intermittent must. The must itself plays like 3 stages: pre, peak, post. So it depends on the healthy of the bull, and as well as in Maknas especially, even his period is like it's not in continuous must for years together. Yeah, he would be in must, and then he would be on his three phases of must, and then it's like quite a bit of time he would be not in must, then he recomes to must. It's like intermittent must. The must phase itself is like intermittent, which denotes that he's being physically healthy, and then that is like a sort of healthy sign where his testosterone level is even high, and then he's been okay with those things. It's not that he's been completely years together in must. It's like intermittent, it shifts.
All right. We have another question about Asian male elephants. This is not about Raju, but just about elephants in general. So somebody is asking, if only Asian male elephants have tusks, why are they still hunted despite having small tusks?
So it's like, Asian elephants alone, males would be having tusk, and then it's like it has been used as an ivory, as everyone would have been aware. Whereas even the small ones even been hunted because of they they too sell it as, as a false statement of those tusks. Even they make ornaments and say these are the tusk which has been, those ornaments are made from tusks. So they doesn't know, right, which is tusk and tusk. Basically, the difference between the tusk and the tusk is that is an incisor teeth. That tusk is an incisor teeth which grows below the lower lip, which grows which grows above the lower lip. Is a tusk which grows below the lower lip is called as tushes, which are the small ones. So people, they may have tried hunting it, and they would have tried it. That would be easy to, remove it and then get the ornaments made, and then they may give false statements this has been done with the tusk and other stuffs, maybe, you know
All right.
and this is
Nikki, there's a
basically
question.
the,
Yeah, doctor, please go ahead.
yeah, this tuskless bulls and the minimal tushes are all like this, are all genetical things. This is not like it only happens in Asian, it doesn't happen in African. This is completely a genetical stuff. That's it.
All right, yeah, Nikki. So there's another question which I think you can answer. So there's somebody from Karnataka and they want to know how they can volunteer. So you can tell them about our Bangalore Center perhaps and what all it has to offer.
Okay, so if you're in the Bangalore area, you're pretty close to the Bannerghatta Bear Rescue Center, and that is an incredible place to visit and volunteer at. And we do have day volunteer opportunities there. So Sandy is one of the Wildlife SOS employees who often helps to coordinate that at the center. So just write to us and we will get you in touch with Sandy, or you can actually reach out directly to her at Sandy, which is spelled SANDHI at wildlifesos.org. And you can have a great experience volunteering for a day out there with the bears.
Okay, we have another question, I think, which either of you can answer. So basically, somebody's asking whether Wildlife SOS is involved in live rescues. I think they mean like rescues of animals in distress, such as when there are floods or any distress situations. So anybody feel free to answer.
I'll just jump in, and I'm sure Dr. Go has a few things he can add. So Wildlife SOS has many different kind of programs helping wildlife in India. There's a 24-hour rescue program, and with that program, you have to be able to deal with almost any kind of call that comes in, whether it's a reptile, whether it's a leopard. So we have a team that is able to deal with almost any kind of emergency, whether it's in somebody's home or whether it's an animal that's trapped in a well. So yes, to answer that question, Wildlife SOS deals with lots and lots and lots of calls and situations where they're rescuing wild animals. And in terms of natural disasters, sadly, those do happen too. And I can think back to even when the tsunami hit and Kartik and Geeta were out there dealing with huge problems when India was hit from that tsunami. Was it that 2006? And since then, there have been floods and there have been typhoons. And whenever there's an opportunity that Wildlife SOS can use their equipment and expertise and staff, we have our teams out there.
All right, Nikki, that was a very detailed answer. Thank you for that. I think we have some more nice comments in multiple languages telling us thank you for our work, etc. So Dr. Gochalan, Nikki, the rest of the team, it's really good to see, this work and this PPT that you've presented just now. It's really nice to know about how Raju is doing currently. And I'm so glad that so many people joined and they put up so many questions. I think there's too many questions to answer just on this webinar. So if anybody has anything that we have not answered, you can email us at wildside@wildlifesos.org. It's also mentioned in the chat box right now, so you can copy paste that email in case it is required. In case you have any closing statements, Nikki, please go ahead. And after that, we will end this webinar.
Just want to thank everybody once again for being a Raju fan and supporter for almost 10 years now. We, of course, cannot help any of these animals without your incredible support. So just gratitude from me. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Dr. Gochalan.
Thank you.